So welcome. So we're going to do something very interesting. There was, at this week, when I learned this talk from the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991, I got a few insights that I had never had before, a few new aha moments. And this always happens when I learn the Rebbe's talks, because every time we learn it, we learn something deeper and better. But there are a few things that I would love to share. One is about the power of the time and place that we're in, and one of the things I also came to realize is why the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whenever he opened his talks, when he spoke to the Hasidim in public, and it usually was in 770 downstairs, but it wasn't necessarily always downstairs. Sometimes it was upstairs. Sometimes it was even when they had rallies for the kids on Lag BaOmer, it was outside in front of 770. That was very unusual. That's every few years. But whenever the Rebbe did speak, he always mentioned and opened up and referred to the time that we're in and the place that we're in. And he connected his talks to time and space, time and place. And I always wondered, especially when I was a teenager, when I first started coming to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and we'd have to sit there and listen for a long elaboration of the time that we're in. And sometimes also when I read the talks of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he's talking at length about the time that he was saying, and I said, well, what's that relevant to now? Now it's 30 years later, and maybe we're on a different day or a different month or a different, day of the week. Everything's different. So why do I even have to read or learn the auspiciousness of that day when the Rebbe was speaking about that day? So I have a couple of thoughts to share with you on this. First of all, this whole talk, he does talk about how when we're we in general, as the final generation of exiles, what the Rebbe calls us, and we're the first generation of the times of redemption, is what the Rebbe calls our generation. As a generation of a whole in time of history, it's very, very significant. And the Rebbe keeps on bringing that point over and over again, especially in the last 2 years where he spoke, saying how we have the power to elevate all the previous generations that were, and everything that they've done, all the holy teachers, all the holy women, all the holy martyrs, all the holy rabbis, all the wonderful work of all the kind, good, generous people, and all the millions of tzedakahs that were given. Everybody's work throughout the generations, service of God, is all accumulated and is coming now to the final moments of our generation, where we're going to take it to the last step of taking it over, kind of like the finish line. We're the ones who are going to cross that finish line, and we're going to bring in usher the times of the redemption, where we're bringing in, drawing down godliness in a way that was never experienced even by the Jews when they were given the Torah at Mount Sinai. Maybe they experienced it for a few seconds, as a flash of a second, but they couldn't handle it. And then Moses had to be the one revealing to them these insights from God. But it says in times of Mashiach, there will be even higher level than was given to Moses at Mount Sinai. Even Moses is going to be in awe, it says, of what we're going to be learning in the times of the Mashiach, and he'll be sitting in awe at what the Mashiach is teaching to the Jewish people. And the Rebbe talks about this at length and in detail. How is it possible when it says Torah is not changing? How could there be new things? And this is something we discussed in previous classes that I posted on Bais Chana YouTube channel. And some of it's on Facebook and Yehudis, which I have to change to Yehudis Wolffe. But we have these. We've gone through a lot of these points. I'm trying to give a general picture of this concept of time and space, because this is something in this week's Parsha Shlach, where he sent the spies to go do research, kind of like pre-research about the land of Israel before they went to enter the land of Israel and take over and bring holiness into the land of Israel. Moses sent spies, and he sent these people to explore the land of Israel. It doesn't call them exactly spies in the Hebrew language, but it calls them that they went to Latour, to tour it in a way, or to overlook it. And the goal is to see how they could actually take over the land practically and be able to make it a dwelling place for God, because it was a very corrupt country, very corrupt people. There was a lot of very corrupt behavior on many, many, many levels. We don't have to go into it. And they had to be able to come in there and take over and make it a holy dwelling place for God, where they reveal one God in the world with morals and ethics and everything. So that was the purpose that they were about to enter the land of Israel. Now it says that at that, that we all know that they didn't succeed with their mission, the spies in the time of Moses. But later, two of the spies, Caleb and Yeshua, and especially Yeshua, the main student of Moshe Rabbeinu, was successful later. And so the fulfillment of this going and touring the land of Israel was fulfilled, and Joshua was able to send two other spies later on, which were successful in their mission. They made contact with actually a woman, for all of us women over here, who helped them out and made a deal with them that if they would spare her family, she would basically help them. And that is what happened. I'm not going to go into all the details because that's not the point of the Sikha. The point of the Sikha is that the Rebbe brings us to how we, in our time, we need to learn from this concept and this idea of going to explore the land of Israel, meaning to know what's going on the earth below and in the world at large, and be able to make everywhere and every place that we can reach and see and affect a dwelling place for God. So now we know, since we do have, internet, and we do have the ability to see, Google Maps everywhere, we're able to broadcast everywhere. This whole concept, this whole idea of being able to see the land and then prepare how we're going to bring godliness to that really, really is much more in effect now in our times for each and every one of us. The Rebbe said this 30 years ago, before they had this capacity that we have now, before they have internet, but the Rebbe did say already 30 years ago, 1991, a little over 30 years ago, that we are able to go spy up, meaning look at the whole land. He talked about the whole world, and he said even the furthest corners of the earth. And specifically, the Rebbe said the furthest corners of the earth, the furthest places where you would think there are not, and there's no connection to God over there, and there cannot be a connection to God over there, or they don't want to be connected. These are the places that we can actually make the biggest impact. And when we do bring godly awareness to these far off places, we're actually bringing our personal mission to its fullest level, and we're bringing the world's mission to its fullest level. And that actually going to the furthest places in time and place, then, in our generation, where it's the lowest generation and we're furthest away from godliness being revealed from previous generations. So in time, it's lowest generation. In place, we're going to the furthest places. We're not necessarily going to the holy place. We're going specifically to the darkest places where God is far, far removed and not maybe even welcomed so much. That transformation of darkness to light is what's going to bring the true and complete redemption, and it's going to elevate all the consciousness of the entire world and all the work that was done in all the previous generations from Adam, from the first human who tried serving God to his fullest capacity. So we have an awesome, awesome, awesome mission because we're at the lowest of the low. It's like a ray of light coming and beating down and then reflecting backward. So we're at the lowest of the low. Now the reflection comes from us, the coming back upward and lifting up all the worlds, all the spiritual worlds, and all the spiritual energies, and all past service of all generations is all being elevated by us. It's like the Rebbe gives the analogy of a building. When you want to pick up a building, you have to go dig deep under the building and then lift the building from the bottom. When you lift the building at the bottom of the building up, it lifts the entire building up. So that's our generation. By lifting up, by whatever we're doing here to lift up the world in its messy state, we're elevating the world up, and not just the world as we know it now, but the world as was known until now in history. So we have an awesome, awesome mission and an awesome responsibility and an awesome ability. Now, how do we get this ability to do this? That's what the Rebbe talks in the Sikha in today's talk. And let's look inside. Let's get the Rebbe's instructions as much as we can in the amount of time that we have. I did post on the Bais Chana YouTube channel a few classes that I taught this in depth, like word for word, during this week. So you can go back and kind of pull more pieces and gems out. And today I'm going to give you more of a summary. And by the way, this is all connected to women. It says the woman is a crown of her husband. So what is the crown? The crown, woman is also known as Malchus. Malchus is kingdom, or Malchus is the sphere of godliness that's the lowest of the 10 spheres of godliness, and it actually has the power to create and produce the next lower level. The woman has the power, Malchus, she has the power to create a child. She has the power to also, women have a power to create in them, whatever it is, children and other things. So we have, in Kedusha and holiness also, the power of creativity and power of producing something new out of all the talents and capacities of mind and heart that we have. That's using our talent or our power of Malchus. Malchus is the lowest of the 10 spheres. Now it says the women who are symbolic of Malchus, we have the womb, we create the next generation. That's in Malchus. It's also represented in earth, in the land, where you put in the land a seed and it grows something new after it decays. And that's the power of creating something new, the power of creativity. So they're all connected. And it says in times of Mashiach, Malchus, which is the lowest level of 10 spheres, is going to be elevated to its source, which is the crown, the Kesser, which is above the powers that are revealed in this physical world. In a normal way. Kesser is like unknown. It's the unknowable. It's the beyond. The highest level of the spheres that we can actually wrap our hand around is Chokhmah, is wisdom. It's the power of intellect, of insights, of having flashes of vision, of even creative vision, creative ability to see insights, have new ideas. That's the most intangible level of intellect that we can comprehend. Kesser comes to an even higher level than that. And that's the power of the soul. It's a power of soul to connect to God, and it's a power of will. When we will to do God's will, it's not something you can attribute to rationale. It's the power has in it the power of pleasure, which also it has nothing to do with intellect or rationale. So connecting on the level of Kesser is connecting to God's will and connecting to God's pleasure. And God's will and pleasure is us as physical beings in a physical world. And that's God's will and pleasure. It's not necessarily explained or needs to be explained. It's just God's will and pleasure. God desires to have a dwelling place in this lowly world where we as human beings are serving God through Torah and mitzvahs. And we keep Torah and mitzvahs, that's our power, that's our strength, that's our code of connecting to God. So one of the wonderful things that the Rebbe talks about in the Sikha also of how do we bring these revelations is it says in the Zohar, there's a model of three that's very, very basic and important in our ability to connect and to bring about anything into this world. There's God, Torah, and the Jewish people. It says we're tied with 3 knots, meaning we're tied in like a triangle or a circle, however you want to envision it. With God, so to speak, is 1 knot tied with Torah and the Jewish people. The Torah is 1 knot tied with Hashem and the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are a 3rd knot tied on one end with God and on one end, so to speak, with the Torah. So this is a visual, okay, to try to imagine creatively in your mind this what the Zohar, which is a book of Kabbalah, where Shimon Bar Yochai explaining our interconnectedness of the Jewish people, God, and Torah. Now, this is something that's been taught many, many times. In this Sikha, the Rebbe 1991, he brings another new dimension to this connection on a deeper level than he ever, as far as I know, explained before that year. If he did, I didn't know about it until I read it in that year. But in this year of 1991, and I wasn't so aware of it until I read it this year. Going through it, we always see something more than what you've learned before. I don't know if so anyway, in short, what's the message of the 3 connected, which is something we can go on very, very deeply. It's also, I think, connected to Torah, service of God through prayer, and acts of kindness. Those are 3 things. It says these are the 3 pillars that the world exists on. Torah learning, right? Torah, the mitzvah of understanding God through Torah, understanding God's will and wisdom is Torah learning. Mitzvahs are good deeds, kind deeds, acts of kindness, helping others, and service of God through devotion of prayer. those are, it says, are the three pillars that the world can be held up with and exist. Okay, if anybody's worried about the world falling apart, then these are the three things in your life to strengthen and to help other people strengthen: Torah, prayer, and good deeds. So, and it's always been like this in history. The Jewish people were ever faced with any sort of trials and tribulations and threats, enemies, whatever it is, the rabbis would come out and say, increase in Torah learning and prayer and in charity. So these three I see also, and in a parallel with them, and these three knots that we're talking about in the Zohar. There's the knot of God is one, so that's, you know, connecting to God on the highest levels is connecting to Hashem through tshuva, through prayer, through ascent of our soul. There's the connection to God through Torah. Okay, that's we said is the second of the three things, and the third is kind deeds. So that's our actions in this world. That's the Jewish people. We have the ability to be kind in this physical world, bringing godliness revealed in action in this physical world. So that's Torah, prayer, and kind deeds parallels the way I see it also. Welcome, Anthea, and welcome, Goldie. Welcome. These three, Torah, prayer, and good kind deeds, parallels the three knots that connect us with God: the Jewish people, God, and Torah. We're all interconnected. So the beautiful thing that the Rebbe brings in this sikha about this deep connection that we have is he says, aside from having this connection on an external level, there's a deeper dimension to this love, these three knots of us tied together with God, so to speak. This is how we can envision it in our mind. What is the deeper connection? And the Rebbe says there's the inner dimensions of Torah, which is, the outer dimensions of Torah. The revealed parts of Torah was given to us in Mount Sinai. It's the do's, the don'ts, the laws mostly, mainly, and then how we learn the laws, how we extrapolate the laws, how we apply the laws throughout the generation, all the codes and the rules, and all the rabbis back and forth, and the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Shulchan Aruch. That's all based on the oral Torah that was given on Mount Sinai of how to apply Torah with the rules of how do you apply Torah into each situation and each generation. So that's the revealed parts of Torah. Then you have the inner dimension of Torah, which was revealed a little bit at Mount Sinai, but only to individuals. It wasn't revealed to everybody. And only certain very high level souls were given a chance to pass on the hidden secrets of Torah, which are the reasons of Torah, the inner meanings of Torah. And that was given from generation to generation by certain individuals who merited it. In the time of the Baal Shem Tov, we're taught, he was given permission to reveal it to everybody, the inner dimensions of Torah. And not only was he given permission, he was told when all these teachings of the hidden secrets of Torah will be revealed to the whole entire world, that's when Mashiach will come. Okay, so this is Chassidus, the Rebbe explains. This is the teachings of Chassidus, is the hidden inner secrets, reasons, and understanding of Torah, the soul of Torah, understanding it on its soul level, not just its outer external understanding. And so this is so Torah has these two dimensions: has the body of Torah and has the soul of Torah. The soul of Torah was revealed more to the masses and to everybody, make it available from the time of the Baal Shem Tov until our time. Okay, so when we're learning, the Rebbe says, in this Sikha 1991, we're able to learn Torah on a level and in a way that the Jewish people at Mount Sinai weren't able to to understand and have revealed, because they only had the external revealed part of Torah taught to them, not the hidden secrets, not the inner meanings, not the inner dimension, the Chassidus of it that we're getting through the teachings of Rebbe and through the teachings of Chassidus, which we learn. I've been merited to learn it since I'm a little girl. And I've been teaching and having people teach through Bais Chana of California since I started Bais Chana in 1990, or since I came to California in 1986. So this is my goal, is to bring the inner dimensions of Torah to everybody, to women, men, everybody. This is the soul of Torah. So okay, so now we said there's the three knots, right? So on the level of Torah, there's the hidden dimension and there's revealed dimension. On the level of the Jewish people, also, the second knot, we have also the revealed part of us and the hidden parts of us. We have us as we can see us externally, and we can see us on our inner soul level. and our soul has deeper and deeper and deeper levels to the level of our essence. Okay, so we can connect our the inner teachings of Hasidus actually reveal the inner levels of our neshama, of our soul. It brings out not that just our activities shine and are beautiful and well behaved and mannered and moral and ethical and kind and everything, but also our inner soul is also shining and our intuition gets highlighted, our sense of godliness, our holiness gets opened up, our connection to God with all our emotions and our holy level of connecting with through our heart and our more spiritual sensitivity senses are all heightened and awakened and aroused and enlivened and nourished through the teachings of Hasidus, the inner dimensions of Torah. So our inner dimension is nourished and brought to life and brought to fruition and fulfillment and illuminating through the inner dimensions of Torah, the Hasidus that we learn. Then the Rebbe says the third knot, which is Hashem, God Himself, we can reveal our inner dimensions of our soul through the inner dimensions of Torah. We can reveal also the hidden, most inner dimensions of godliness, of the God's essence. And this is what's going to be revealed. God's essence will actually be able to be revealed in a physical world, physical eyes in the times of Mashiach. And we're the catalyst, the Rebbe says, our generation is the catalyst that's ushering in and bringing in these revelations through us learning and teaching Hasidus. Okay, so we're learning here and now. So it's very, very important to view and spend as much of our capacity and put as much of our heart and soul and our time and efforts into learning and teaching Hasidus and spreading Hasidus, because that's what's going to bring the true, complete redemption for the whole world, the revelation of godliness to the whole world, the understanding as much as a human being can understand, but the interconnection of everybody's soul to godliness in a way that we'll be able to have the greatest revelations beyond what we could have even imagined. Not only that, the Rebbe says in a previous sikha that some of the teachings of Torah that we'll be learning in times of Mashiach will only be able to be revealed through the Mashiach himself, who is a prophet and able to connect to God in a level of prophecy and see inner workings of Torah, inner understandings of Torah that a normal human being cannot see with their human brain. And he's teaching it to the Jewish people. We can already see the Rebbe revealed so many things. The Lubavitcher Rebbe revealed so many things as a prophet to us. He even explained how he's saying things in prophecy, which was very uncharacteristic. He's a very humble man. But if you look deeply at what he was saying, that's exactly what he was saying. He was saying prophecies throughout the time that he was leading us in a physical body. And he revealed so many things in Torah that only a prophet could understand. When you learn the Rebbe Sichos and you say, wow, how did the Rebbe know this? And how did the Rebbe come to this? And it's very, very clear that it's prophecy, because the Rebbe brings all the sources and all the background information when he brings a new insight, and then he brings his insight. And the leap between all the sources in the background and then the Rebbe's insight is definitely, it's outer worldly. It's not something that could come on a normal without having a more higher vision of godliness than a human brain or a human being can logically deduce. And in one of the Sichos, Rebbe himself actually even says this is an example of the Torah, kind of like as it is explained by in prophecy, and that will be understood later. The Mashiach will explain to the people how to understand this with their brain and their human mind, and therefore it can be incorporated and understood as a regular part of Torah. But to come to that insight, that vision, that understanding, it took a prophecy, and then a prophet to see on a higher level, higher dimension, and then it can be understood rationally in our brain. And an example of that, I think, was last week's Sikha on the Pasha of Baloscha, raising the lights, illuminating your inner soul. I think it was that week's Sikha. But I remember doing it recently. In any event, let's go to the Sikha inside. Okay. Pashas, okay, sorry, this is not Shlach. This is the 28th of Sivan Sikha. I wrote on the message, on the WhatsApp message, Shlach. No, this is the 28th of Sivan Sikha, talk by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991. And I'm going to skip a lot of the beginning. I said some of it in my introduction. Okay. I explained a few concepts over here. Whoever came in late, NPIC, whoever, go back to the beginning because you missed some good stuff. Okay. Okay. So here the Rebbe says, let's look at the shlichus, the mission that we have in our times and our generation. Okay, because we're like the messengers. It says like Moshe Rabbeinu sent messengers to tour the land of Israel and to see how it could be conquered. The Rebbe says this is a message for us in our times. Also, how we're going to make the world a dwelling place for God. Right? We want conquering the land as a spiritual conquering, where we're going to make the land a holy dwelling place for God, where everybody will see God and reveal and understand God. So how do we do this? It says even though we're now physically, we're in the time of exile, and we're in the final most end of the exile, and also we're in like in America, the Rebbe says, which is the lower hemisphere. It's not Israel where Torah was given. We're in a very distant place. So this is though right now where most of the Jewish people are in the United States, and here we are, the Rebbe says, specifically because we're in this situation and in this place. And at this end time in history of exile, until we're at the lowest place, we're at the lowest of the low. There's the world is very dark, and we're in a country where there's a lot of confusion and darkness. Okay, so there's a lot of lowly things that we're up in front of. Specifically here, we can bring the highest elevation, the highest ascent, and all the levels and all the generations, all the spiritual levels and all the generations before us, and beyond that, the Rebbe says, even above that, and the higher places in the world, and even Moshe Rabbeinu, even Moses, etc., are being elevated through our service on this physical earth in the lowest part of the world, lowest time of history. And this is what is affecting and actually bringing the Geula Shlema. The Rebbe quotes over here in the Sikha, what the Alter Rebbe wrote in Tanya also, that it's specifically through our service in the time of exile, where we're taking the darkness of exile and bringing godly consciousness into this world. That is what brings about the redemption. It's through our work. It's not through God saving the world. It's through us doing our part to reveal godliness in the darkest part of the world. That's why God created us. He created us humans in a dark world to bring light into the world. When we do our job, when we do it, we're revealing godliness in the world. We're bringing Geula, we're bringing redemption to the world. It's our job. And that's why he says Geula, which means redemption, comes from the word also Gilui, revelation. It's a matter of us revealing God in the world. Now, since the Rebbe says the Geula does come, redemption does come from the lowest level of experiencing God in the world possible. Okay, there's many higher spiritual worlds, angels, beings, revelations, emanations. It's specifically this physical world at the end of time where there's the most darkness in the world, the most let's say, compliance with godliness, the most chutzpah, if you want to say that. I didn't use the word chutzpah. He used the word the most darkness and the most lowly. That is where we affect and bring the true Geula, the eternal Geula that will not have any galut, any exile after it. And that's why it says, specifically, when something comes from the lowest place, we reveal the truth of the matter and the wholeness of the matter. And in an eternal way, in an effect that will last forever, that will be revealed in Geula Shlema through Mashiach. Now, the chidush, the newness, the idea of the whole revelation of Geula is that we're revealing godliness down here below, in the lowest of the world, that there's no lower than it. We're making a dwelling place for God in this world. How do we make a dwelling place? Through revealing God, through Torah and mitzvahs. Doing God's will and wisdom, that's Torah and mitzvahs in this physical world. That's making God comfortable and welcome in this world. That's making him a dwelling place in this world. Okay, and that's where we can reveal godliness in the highest level of God's essence. So there's something about, God could, when he created the worlds, he hid himself, right? So each of those levels, there's a lower level of God being revealed, lower level. Until we came to the lowest world, God is the most hidden. But when we transcend the God's concealment in this physical world, this is specifically where we could reach God's essence and the highest revelations from the lowest point. It's like the light hits the mirror and we're reflecting back. So we're at the bottom, we're at the mirror, the bottom of the mirror where the godliness is being reflected back intensely. That's what we're affecting when we reflect godliness in our lives down here in this physical world. Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit because I said this in my own words. What he says over here. So then he brings here again the what we said about the newness of the Torah that will be revealed will also be specifically in our times by us contending with the hardships of the times that we're in and persevering, revealing godliness in our life, and doing the three things: Torah, Avodah, and the Torah, prayer, and kind deeds. And that's why in here also the Rebbe said also with unity altogether, that affects the big change. But it's the point is that we're bringing Torah and revelation to the furthest place of the world, and what would be least expected in time and place. In one of the classes that I posted, Bais Chana YouTube channel with my icon, not Bais Chana International, I taught this more at length, and I brought the story of my son who went after a Laker game. You can listen there at length. And specifically there, he went with his beard and tzitzis. He went to the celebrations, and the newscast guy came up to him and interviewed him to see what he had to say. And they posted his message about Hashem, God, on the edited video that they posted on about the celebrations of the people who were, celebrating the win of the Lakers a few years ago. So it just shows, my son likes to take opportunities to go to the least expected place at the least expected time to reveal Hashem, to bring a message of Hashem. He likes doing that, bringing that element of surprise and wonder to the places that weren't expecting it. And he does it very well. He has a very nice character to him. So that's the concept that the Rebbe is saying over here. We have the power when we really do, when our service is totally complete, when it's truly whole and wholesome and true, when we have it affect the most furthest and darkest and least expected place on earth and in time. And that's what elevates all time and all places before us. Like the lifting up the building, like we said, from the bottom up, it lifts everything up, the whole entire building up with it. So there's a lot more in the Sikha, but I want to see if anybody has some questions. Maybe I can elaborate more on something that you want to ask about or comment about. Welcome, Susan. And whoever's on Facebook, if you get the link, it's better because then you can ask, you can invite whatever, you can ask a question if you join on the Zoom. Okay, so does anybody want to say something or ask something? Is it clear everything we mentioned here from the Rebbe? Does it make sense? Does it sound good? Does it sound unrealistic, or does it sound like, yeah, this is what I needed to hear? I never met. Okay, so I'm going to assume it sounds good. You don't have any arguments or any complaints. That's a good start. Okay. I really like, and the part of where the Rebbe said how we're all connected. The Jewish people, the Torah, and God are like three knots that are intertwined. Like we're like a strand of three strings intertwined together, and we have three knots connecting us and binding us together. So it's the power. The lesson that I take from this is that when we're going out to actually try to affect the world and bring a message to the world, we're not going ourselves. We're going with the power of Torah, and we're going the power of God. And we're not going with just the external power of Torah and the external part of God and our external self, our body and our brains. We're going with an inner dimension of the inner dimensions of our soul that we're not even conscious of, that are there within us. We're going with the inner dimensions of Torah, which is Hasidus, which hopefully we're all learning, because that's the secret. We're told that if we can ignite our souls with the teachings of Hasidus, we can ignite other people's souls. We can reveal power of the whole entire world through learning Hasidus, even inanimate objects, like we learned last week, Sicha. Okay, that even inanimate objects can be illuminating godliness, and we can reveal and they can help us, right? We can affect the world in a way that the world will afterwards affect us. Not just people, but even objects. We make them holy, and then those holy objects have an influence on us and support us in our service of God. So that's an amazing, amazing concept. So we have our inner soul connects with the inner teachings of Hasidus, of Torah, the inner dimensions, the pnimius, the soul of Torah, which further reveals inner dimensions of godliness in the world and in us that we didn't ever have before. So the more Hasidus, ladies, that we learn, the more inner dimensions of Torah that we learn, your soul is illuminating more, and you're bringing godliness revealed in a more inner dimension way than ever before. It's not just an external, oh, I see God made this miracle. The Jews won this, were saved. They won this war, they won this. There's a deeper understanding and awareness and connection and in tuneness with godliness on a level of our essence and our essence. Until it says Mashiach comes, we'll be like married to God. We'll be on a level of feeling this oneness with God and feeling that the only true existence in the world is God. And if anything else doesn't show God, it's just because it's kind of like a covering of God, but it's not a true covering. God is really everywhere. That will be felt and part of and parcel of our whole being when Mashiach is here. And how do we get there, though, is by revealing it now in us, revealing in our consciousness, in our life, that God is the true truth and the true essence and the true reality of the whole entire world. So that's my message from the Rebbe for this week, that we learned the 28th of Sivan, which was yesterday. Today is the 29th of Sivan, which is the day before Rosh Chodesh. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month of Tammuz. The Rebbe's Hilula is this week on Thursday. So Thursday. So I might be going into New York for a wedding for next week, but I'll still, God willing, hopefully be able to broadcast next Sunday. If I can't, I'll have to let you know. But today is the 29th of Sivan. Tomorrow's the 30th, which is Rosh Chodesh. Monday is Rosh Chodesh. Tuesday is Rosh Chodesh. And Thursday is, Wednesday night, Thursday is the Hilula of the Rebbe. And very, very holy day. It's a good time to reconnect also to our own neshama and the Rebbe's neshama in the highest level possible. It's a day of very strong empowerment, because it says the day that a soul of a tzaddik ascends to a higher level, that's the day that the Rebbe's neshama is able to give us even more and more greater awarenesses and revelations to illuminate us even more. So hopefully we will be already in Yerushalayim, and by then, by Tuesday, in the third holy temple, because everybody's going to be completely imbued with all these awarenesses to such a degree that it will already be all revealed to everyone. And it could take a second. So we're in times where we can see this happening very quickly. It doesn't take too much. The Rebbe says it takes a split second for us to have a change of heart. It takes a split aha moment to have these awarenesses. It's not something that we have to see. It's like for the future, maybe somehow. It's like really now. And we should all have revelations now. Okay? So if any of you want to speak to me privately, you can, message me. You could through my website, BaisChanaCA.weebly.com. BaisChanaCA for California. .weebly.com. I look forward to seeing you hopefully next Sunday, if not in 2 weeks Sunday. And also we also have another class on Wednesday at 5:30 California time where we do Tanya and art together. Hopefully we'll have it this week. It's another separate Zoom class. It should be on our website, beischanaca.weebly.com, the Zoom link, and you're welcome to see how we take Torah and Tanya and we draw it. So it brings us to another level of connecting. So, so I love you all. Take care, be well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you. I'm glad you came on camera. Be well.